So relationship, or how humans perceive the relationship, this has been investigated from different sides. So for instance, going back to trust, some people think that measuring trust is already measuring the relationship between human AI and AI systems, for instance, Alexa. We think that this is a little bit too tight, too not broad enough. I think we believe that we have to look at this more from a more multidimensional approach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Engatica's interview series. I'm your host, Dingu Sagar, and we are really glad to have you join us today. And today we have Marisa Tschopp, human AI interaction researcher at Skip AG. Welcome to the show, Marisa.
Hello.
The Engatica interview series is a powerhouse of insights from industry experts and influencers from around the globe, a platform that provides the latest news on AI, automation, and technologies that will help you grow your business. Come, be part of our community. Let's learn, share, and grow with us. So, Marisa, jumping on to the questions. My first question is so, we humans and machines coexist a lot in today's age. Smartphones, for example, is nothing but a digital extension of ourselves. Earlier, we used to treat them as simple tools, but now they are getting more and more human like. Best example is like Siri and Google Assistant that handles open ended conversations, right? So as these systems get better and better at mimicking humans, we humans feel the need to treat them as social actors like other humans. So what are your thoughts on this, and why do you think humans try to humanize these non-human agents in the first place?
Yeah, thanks for this great introduction. There's already a lot of food for thought within your question and comments. So, yeah, I mean, where to start on this? I think maybe let's start with the current case. I'm sure many of you have followed the discussions about the Google Lambda AI, the Google AI that was where this one Google engineer thought, okay, this AI is sentient now. It has feelings. It needs right. We need to treat them right. So I think yeah, if we think about that, I mean, if we think, okay, why is this engineer, someone who really knows how the technology works and stuff, how is that even possible that, he thinks that, we have to treat this Google AI nicely, or have to be careful how we treat it and so on. So, and I think this is a great case, that, shows everybody who's, even if you're not, a psychologist or a philosopher whatsoever, that humans, no matter in which stage of your education or what kind of background you have, we have this capacity to humanize non-human agents. Even, let's even get a step further. In one of my articles, I say you cannot not anthropomorphize, you cannot not humanize. So I think this capacity to humanize technology, to humanize agents, on the one hand, it's kind of, dangerous. Some even call it a weakness, or, laugh about it and say, come on, that's ridiculous, and so on. I think I feel like I want to more and more talk about it as a strength in terms of, I think that's an amazing capacity. I mean, we are able to feel empathy with a machine. How awesome is that? Can you imagine if we would be able to feel empathy with every human in the world, or everything in the world, with our world ourselves, so on? So I think it's a strength. However, what concerns me is that, that we seem to be not so good at evaluating these feelings and putting them into a right context. So this is more about the recent case, and these are just my first thoughts coming up here. But of course, most of my research, or maybe all of it, is based on this theoretical rationale that humans tend to humanize machines, that humans treat computers as social actors. And this is why I, as a psychologist, can do all this research in human-machine interaction, because I can take these theories from psychology, which is from human to human interaction, and basically translate them or repurpose them to better understand human-machine interaction.
Awesome. Yeah. those are great points. I guess, again, human to machine interactions, the machines are again trained just like the humans, right? So they're trained to mimic the humans. So some of the principles and ideas from human to human interactions could very well apply here and would help us navigate this. Yeah. So as we interact more and more with these systems, one question that comes up is that the question of trust. So what do you think trust means when it comes to human-machine interactions? Could you talk a
Yeah.
little bit about it?
Sure. I mean, trust is like the new, I think one of the new words now, and people even talk about trust washing now, like ethics or greenwashing, that, you have to make everything trustworthy, and people talk about trust, but it's the problem with trust is that trust is something that we like almost every human being has an idea of what trust is and how trust feels like. However, trust is pretty complicated. It's a very, very complex and fuzzy concept. So we have lots of research in psychology about trust in human to human interactions. When it comes to human and machines, there's also a lot of research now already. So we're kind of already build upon a great corpus on theories and models and things that have been tested and so on. But there's still a lot of open questions. So it's still a really hot topic. And so in theory, or if we're looking at it as a researcher, what I can say is, trust in humans and trust in machines is similar. They share similar characteristics, but it's different. It's not the same. So you cannot translate it one on one. So let me give you one example. For instance, when we talk about transparency. So if we talk about humans trusting other humans, the core idea of trust is that one human is vulnerable to another human. And this is there's a situation, it's characterized by some uncertainty, by risk, and you make yourself vulnerable to another human. And the more you increase basically, how much the other human is transparent, then we're not talking about trust anymore. Then we're talking about control. And these are different mechanisms. In the human machine context, this is different. Although we don't have like concise knowledge about it and some inconsistencies, it's most of the experts agree that the more transparent the machine is, the more it increases trust. So this is for example, just one of the differences of thousands you can look at. But I just kind of want to showcase you that trust in humans is different than trust in machines, but they share a lot of similarities. For instance, you evaluate the capabilities of the machine as you evaluate the capabilities of a human when you trust them to do a specific action. And to sum up, trust has been such a crucial and important topic because it's one of the main requirements for humans adopting AI or technologies in general. Because most of the people, if you don't trust a technology or an agent or whatsoever, a car, whatever, then it's very likely that you don't use it. And so we're also missing out on a lot of things. And especially if you design and develop things, obviously your goal is that you want people to use it. So you're designing for trust. So what's been happening though in the scene, to take a little bit of an ethical approach here as well, we've been missing out a little bit on the ethical implications of that. So the moment where we are in basically, I call that the gamification of trust. At the moment, where you're playing with, all these design elements to influence the trust level of the user, then we're pretty, slowly moving into manipulation. So how can we manipulate through humanizing the agent, through, deceiving capabilities and so on? So playing with these things is very likely to, have also negative consequences, such as addiction, such as deceit, or to be very concrete here, for instance, people who trust a system and highly humanize are more likely to disclose personal data, for instance. So these are the things we are looking at, and which need a lot of discussion and insights now.
Right. I guess those are some very valid points to ponder about. Trust is a very important factor in human to human interaction. So when we have the relationship with machines, it's going to be even more important. And the concept of whether it's actually trust or like whether it's artificial trust, which other humans have designed to manipulate, is the serious questions that we can ponder about. Which brings me to the next question about this relationship between humans and AI systems. So how do humans perceive their relationships with AI? Uh, AI is becoming like an inevitable part of our lives in some form or the other. So what do you think are the effects on these things on our behaviors, and especially when we spend a lot more time conversing with, let's say, a conversational chatbot. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I'm really glad you're pointing this out. So this is basically a new stream of research. It hasn't, or it depends. It has been it's been looked at from different angles. But so what we have now just started to really look at the actual perception of relationship. So relationship, or how humans perceive the relationship. This has been investigated from different sides. So for instance, going back to trust, some people think that measuring trust is already measuring the relationship between human AI and AI systems, for instance, Alexa. We think that this is a little bit too tight, too not broad enough. I think we believe that we have to look at this more from a more multidimensional approach. And the reason being, or why I started this research, actually comes from ethical concerns. So it started when I was reading up on the Microsoft's chatbot in China. I'm not sure if I can pronounce it right, the Xiaowei's, which has millions. I mean, I think 660 million users. So it's a ridiculous high number for us Europeans. And when I was reading up on this, I was really shocked that only a small percentage, but a small percentage of such a high number is quite a lot, of users are addicted to chatting with this chatbot. They also neglect their real life social interactions. And on top is the pandemic, which fosters these kind of scenarios. Also, by the way, with the Google AI engineer, which also happened in the pandemic, because lonely people are more prone to they want to fulfill their need of connection. They're lonely, so they want to solve this problem. So this was really I was really irritated, and then I started up reading on other articles, for instance, how on the replica chatbot, or how chatbots are used in psychological therapy. And also there, more and more results seem to go in this direction, that people either report sadness when they had to stop the interaction, or these feelings of addiction. So, and maybe, and then there are lots of other anecdotal evidence. For instance, there are these reports and, Hype in some sort of magazine, where people fall in love with Alexa now during the pandemic, or there are many other articles like that on regular news. So and that really made me think, I should not only look at trust, but I want to look at the real relationship patterns. And this is so in the way how we do it is basically, and brings me back also to the first question, where we thought the CASA paradigm, the treating computers as social actors paradigm, allows us to repurpose the human to human relationship theories to human AI relationships. So we're using a framework from the anthropological theory for Fiske, which categorizes how humans think about their relationships with other humans, and we repurposed it to how humans perceive the relationship to conversational AI. And we also, in our first study, looked at the other interaction variables, such as trust, for instance, to see, does that fit in the whole context? How does that fit together? Because it's really new. So, and what we found is that people do perceive these digital assistants. They have this, they perceive the relationship as being, you know, this hierarchical master-servant relationship. Only few people perceive the relationship as this kind of peer and friend-like relationship with Alexa and Siri and stuff. And that was interesting. So we were really surprised, or actually we that, you know, okay, this friendship thing is maybe really just a small minority of people. But so these are the two kind of the classic approaches. But what we found a third dimension, which is a rational dimension. So they interact rationally with the agent, but there's still some agency attributed to the system. So it seems to be a little bit of a mix of the, you know, mere master servant owner tool relationship and the my friend relationship. It's a kind of a mix of them too. I just to put it in a way where it's you know, they do have, you know, they know it's a tool, it's rational, and then they have the rational interaction. However, there's a little bit more to it. We attribute some agency. There's some sort of attachment. There's some sort of, we allow them to be like negotiators, like our negotiation partners. They're people, they're not people, I'm sorry, they're machines of exchange. And so, and we found that really interesting. And that was also shown in our analysis with trust, that in our trust analysis, we found that the trust dimension was very rational, so, and not emotional, because usually you can how do you say, divide trust into emotional trust and cognitive trust, which is rather rational. And the cognitive rational side of trust was very elaborated. So we conclude sort of that the relationship perspective fits really well to explain some of the perceptions, and they give more insights into how we perceive conversational agents. So, and we conclude that, you know, basically these conversations, they are perceived as tools. People know that they are tools, but they're not just tools. So there's a little bit more to it. They're more than servants. They seem to develop other kinds of perceptions along the way, or maybe during the conversation. We don't know how or what the interaction, you know, specifically influences these perceptions, but this is a goal of our next study.
Interesting things. So something I could remember was we at Engati build e-commerce chatbots. So these are like super intelligent. Like we try to build human-like interactions. So one question we have been asking internally is whether to let the user know whether it's a chatbot or like have it present it to the user without saying it's a chatbot, and when the bot can't handle it, you redirect to a live agent seamlessly. So this is something which we have been discussing internally, and again there was no clear answer because different users will have different expectations. Some want it to be some have very high expectations and want it to be as human-like and want to replace a human, but some others like get my whatever queries I have, get the job done. That's all. I like as you said, like a master slave extreme. Yeah.
But
So
isn't this question a little bit redundant now? I mean, looking at two things. First of all, I would say the majority of the ethics guidelines say you are not allowed to, you have to say, you should say that this is a bot, and you are not allowed, or you shouldn't deceive your users in this way. And I'm even thinking that in the EU in the EU Act, the regulatory, the first laws for the EU member states, I'm not 100% sure, but I think one of the laws will be that you must adhere to be transparent about, you know, that it is a bot. So I'm wondering, you know, I think this question, I'm not sure if this is still, why is this question even relevant?
right. So again, this depends on the customers, right? So we have enterprises customers, and it's according to, so this platform is completely customizable by the Shopify, I mean, owners of the e-commerce stores like Shopify and everyone. So some people want their responses to be human-like. Some people want it to be a very chatbot like conversation. So
Yeah.
yeah, so again, these are like again this comes to the next question again. How does all these things relate to the regulatory uh, principles? Again, there are not clear-cut regulations on these fields. So what are your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, and I probably should have checked that before. I'm just from the last from the last event workshop I had on AI and regulatory. I remember that you are obliged to be transparent, that people are talking to a bot, and if you're not doing this, you obviously can be held accountable for this, and you can be sued, etc., etc. So, but long story short, I think so for me, this is not. There's absolutely no discussion around that. That you always, for me, it's crystal clear, and I don't even. I see no reason in this, in why you should not mention that this is a bot. So yeah, there's no logic for me behind it, and I don't think this needs any further discussion.
Okay. Okay. I guess that brings us to the end of the interview. Are there any other things that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe, yeah, to round up, I think I've been the past weeks for me have been extremely interesting and mind-provoking. Getting back to the Google AI sentience discussion, and I think this whole it's really valuable to read this up, because if you look at all the things coming up out of this, there's so many great opinions and perspectives on that from the people who talk about robot rights and moral status of machines, or what is a person, to the importance of transparency and not deceiving people, and how easy it is to fool people, no matter what their background is, and the consequences. I mean, and this poor guy, I think he's facing a lot of consequences now, so and negative consequences, apart from the media hype and attention he receives, and also maybe wanted to receive. And I think, and for me, from a very personal perspective, I think it was so clear that there's so many psychological, political, technical. Now, also, of course, there were so many tech discussions around can computers be sentient and stuff like that. So there's so many perspectives in this one issue already that it makes me I was just so fascinated of the how wide this field is, and how complex, and so many things you have to think about. So and yeah, and I was mostly thinking about mental health, and how can we help people when in terms of loneliness, in terms of workplace, and what's going on with us. How can we make sure that people who humanize too much, that they don't suffer from that. And yeah, so I think that was something that really, really has blown my mind with the last few weeks.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us, Marisa. So, guys, for more content, subscribe to Engatica and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content from our thought leaders around the globe. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you with a new expert zone.
Thank you so much for the invitation.